Hi folks, Dave with dbstechtalk, and today we're going to take a look at the Metal Magic Research Thummim and Homunculus. I want to thank audiotiers.com, HeadFi, and Metal Magic Research for allowing me to be part of the tour for the Thummim and the Homunculus. Do greatly appreciate it, and you guys are amazing for this tour. I do greatly appreciate it. The specs on the Homunculus here are: it is a 4-triple hybrid driver configuration, has dual electrostatics for the treble, 1 vented mid for the mids obviously, and it is a BA, and then it has 1 bespoke 9.7mm Foster dynamic driver for the bass. Has a 3-way passive electro frequency division, a tri-bore waveguide, and an Elitech proprietary internal lits, and an Elitech cable. As for the Thummim is a 9-triple hybrid driver configuration. It has quad electrostats for the treble, 2 vented mids, 2 BA highs, 1 bespoke 9.7mm Foster dynamic driver for the bass. It has a 4-way passive electro frequency division, tri-bore waveguides, Elitech proprietary internal lits, also an Elitech cable, and the Thummim has a frequency response of 20 Hz to 80 kHz, is 35 ohms, and 18 decibels of noise isolation, whereas the Homunculus has the same. It's 20 Hz to 80 kHz, 35 ohms of impedance, and noise isolation of negative 18 dB. So spec-wise, they're pretty much the same. Just have a little bit of difference in frequency response, and also a little bit in internals, with the Thummim having a few extra drivers. Let's do the unboxing, as this is a really cool for both of these. We'll set that to the side here. So the Homunculus comes as this interesting box, has a little bit of artwork here. It says Homunculus, a Magic series, has specs, a little bit of explanation of the tech inside. You open it up, it says Homunculus up here, and you get this extremely nice leather case. Got some artwork here, and if you sniff this, pure leather. It just smells amazing. Undo the little zipper. Doesn't open the widest. If I had one complaint about this insanely good carrying bag case thing, is it doesn't open the widest. Here's your Elitech cable. Comes in this nice little carrying bag. Your cables are of the 2-pin variety, and they have ratings for R and L, so you can easily tell which one is which is a really nice touch. Your letters will go on the inside, so they'll be facing your ear. Ear hooks are very soft and subtle, but do a very good job of holding form and not allowing the IEM to slip out of your ears. Got a very nice chunky split with some branding on it. Looks very nice in my opinion. Feels very good. It's really light for as solid as it looks. And then this cable defaults to a 2.5mm. I really like this cable. This is probably the nicest IEM cable I've ever used. Truly enjoy it. You also get some tips. I found that these silicones right here work the best, so we'll set these to the side. Get some MMR stickers. Remove this solid piece of foam here, and there are your IEMs. So the homunculus are humongous. They're pretty good size. I'm not going to lie. They're really light for their size, though. I do not find that to be an issue. Very well built. You got this unique indentation here. Your 2-pin is right there. Kind of got a flying saucer shape to them. Got these ridges. The edge right here is really sharp. I find that to be painful on the ear. Your ridges go through and it's very flat. This part right here that goes up against the back or the inside part of your ear also is extremely flat. And I find that to be extremely uncomfortable. The angle's not bad. A little short on the nozzle, but not too bad. Put some tips on it. Tips go on extremely easy. And I find that they're just uncomfortable to wear. As I said, this part here on the edges just cuts on, it feels like it's cutting my ear. And then the angle is just enough that it's too short and it pulls the whole thing against my ear, and it's not comfortable to wear for super long time frames. If you get the right positioning, it's not bad, but I've definitely had a lot more comfortable IEMs in my ears. Cable wise, extremely easy to connect. As I said, just put your letter right there. 2-pin goes right together. No pressure, not hard at all to connect. And I just find them to be really cool to look at. Unfortunately, not the most comfortable. Alright, let's set these to the side here. Put all of them over here. Now this is the Thummim, and it says MMR, and it reminds me of an adult beverage of significant price. Would come in some sort of container like this. You take the lid off, and you get a roll that reminds me, if you have super high-end expensive watches, it reminds me of a watch roll. And this is leather and just smells so good. Feels really good in the hand. This is extremely well built. By far the best case I've ever gotten for a headphone. Magnetic lock opens up, says MMR. You get some more MMR stickers. You get this little stand. Get some more tips. And again, the same tips as the homunculus. And the same ones fit my ears the best, so we will take those out and set them to the side. No foams, just silicones. And then you get an Elitech cable, just like the other one. This one feels a little bit more durable than the one that came with the homunculus, but they're both extremely well. Then you have the Thummim. Set this to the side here. Very nicely built. A little bit heavier than the homunculus. At least they feel in the hand. I do not know the exact weight. There's your 2-pin. Quite an aggressive angle, and they are chunky. No sharp edges, very smooth. The only place that's a little sharp is right here on these edges, but those don't come remotely close to the ears for me, so it was not a problem. Very small indentations. And those angles were quite aggressive. So if you take your tip, again, the tips just pop right on. And they stand really far out. Then you have that audiotiers cable. This also defaults into a 2.5. And just like the other ones, you find your letter. You find your 2-pin, boom, on the inside, connects with ease. I find that these are also not the most comfortable for my ears. And here's the reason being. So the angle presses into the ears. It's got somewhat of a fat nozzle and bore. And then because of the weight of the body of the shell, when it's in the ears, it just kind of pulls it and pushes it and puts a lot of pressure on my ear canal. And I ended up with getting like what felt like bruising on the insides of my ears, to the point where I didn't want to wear these that often just because they hurt. And I could only wear them for about 30 minutes before they really started hurting my ears. So comfort was definitely somewhat lacking on both of the MMRs. Now, how do they sound? Now, as far as how do they sound, that is kind of being a little bit of an oddball situation for me. I enjoy both of them. I really, really do. But there seems to be a problem with the fit. And so I'm not sure if my descriptions are really going to match up with everybody else's experiences, because these did not fit in my ears. Neither one of them were pleasant for me to wear. And so I just want to make that very clear that I was doing very quick listening sessions with these in my ears. Also, I had a very limited time. I had a 1 week time frame for this tour. And so, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of time to be able to play around and adjust and really get used to each one's fit. It was more of, man, these are painful, get them out, put them back in for a little bit. And then it became more of dreading to put them in my ears, as they were just so uncomfortable, with the homunculus feeling like it was shredding the inside of my ear. And then with the Thummim just bruising the ear canal entry, just felt like it was expanding it out so much and just really made it hurtful and painful to wear. And so this is a very hard review for me to do. But with all that being said, that is really the only unpleasantry about these. For everything else, the pleasantries, the unboxing experience, as you saw, is fantastic. This is by far the best unboxing experiences I've had when it comes to IEMs. The presentations are beautiful. The carrying bags are very nice with all the leather. Overall, the build and design of the homunculus and also of the Thummim are top-notch. The cables from audiotiers are extremely nice, and I really enjoyed the cables for both. Now for the sound. For the sound, let's start with first with the homunculus. Now the homunculus, the bass on the homunculus is extended, controlled, detailed, very well textured. It has a slight bass emphasis, a slight mid-bass emphasis. Sub-bass is a little light, and the presentation does lack impact on the homunculus. But tone is very pleasing, and overall it is very clean and clear. I just wish that at times there was a little bit more body and a little bit more impact. Details are plentiful and portrayed in a way that is very pleasing and not distracting. I really enjoy the bass on the Homunculus. As far as mids, the mids for the Homunculus are unbalanced, they lack cohesion, and they're very thin sounding. The mids suffer from metallic timbre. They have that thinness to them, especially in the lower end. And the center and upper mids are a little bit thicker, but they're also more forward, and they're also more detailed. It's kind of strange. The upper mids overpower the lower mids, and that causes instruments to sound unbalanced and incohesive, especially violins, banjos, guitars, pianos in the upper registers. Some brass instruments, woodwind instruments also sound very unbalanced. And they will sound more prominent in the mix than the resonance of the lower mids. Vocals also are unbalanced, especially when listening to mixed groups. The females will be more prominent. If you listen mostly to female vocals, then the Homunculus will be very pleasing. Details are plentiful, but do come off as somewhat metallic on the mids. The treble for the Homunculus, it's very polite, smooth, pleasing, but it lacks energy, can sound somewhat boring. The treble is pleasant, but can be described as just kind of being lackluster when it comes to energy. It's kind of like me in the mornings before I have coffee. Treble has a pleasing tone, but isn't natural sounding. It doesn't suffer from the metallic timbre like the mids, though. And the details are readily available and very easy to digest. Unfortunately, it just has that kind of, I'm not ready to get going yet type of mentality. Soundstage. It's huge, spacious, very deep. Soundstage of the Homunculus is massive. I love the soundstage of the Homunculus for the vast size and space it portrays. The depth and the layering is very good. And you can easily determine the seating and positioning on the stage, and these are a very fun sounding soundstage if you like to watch movies and really listen to like classical music, things like that. It does a very good job. Just wish it had a little bit more energy. In comparison, we have right here the Meze Re Penta, and the Meze Re Penta, in my opinion, is also a beautifully crafted IEM. It fits my ear like a glove. And as far as the sound versus the Homunculus, the Re Penta emits a fuller, balanced, cohesive sound with a tad more air and energy in the treble. And also the soundstage is a little bit smaller, but they are about even when it comes to depth and layering. Let's set those aside and move on over here to the Thummim. The Thummim, on the other hand, is, as I said, very uncomfortable to wear for me. And I found that I could only wear it for a few minutes at a time. And then after a while, my ears just really started to hurt. But as far as unpleasantries, that's really about it. As far as unpleasantries of the Thummim, found that the pleasantries are, again, the build quality is just insane. Titanium build, very strong, very quality. You're not going to see anything else as about as well built. The unboxing experience was fantastic. It was one of my favorites of all time. I really love that carrying case. And then the Elitich cables also are extremely nice. Sound-wise, now the Thummim has a very big, large, authoritative, boomy, and warm, and thick, but slow and methodical bass. The bass is massive. It's very large, but it takes its time in portrayal. The Thummim has a warm tint on the bass that does bleed into the mids. The attack speed is good, but the decay is on the slower side, and on busier tracks will sound muddled and thick. I found that the bass is very fun and engaging and has a very authoritative presence, but at times it can just sound a little too much and can be a little bit thick and doesn't want to get out of the way, so to speak. The mids on them are very warm and thick, especially in the lower end. They do have a slightly recession to them, especially as you move upward. They have very good details. They're very engaging, and that vocals on them are very sweet and balanced. You do not have the prominence of females versus males like you do on the homunculus. Depending on your music preference, the mids will either be a love or a meh. For my preference of jazz, classical, and acoustical music, the mids were kind of a mixed bag. I found that the warmth and thickness of the Thummim mids will make woodwinds and strings sound a little too warm, a little bit too thick, and that way, then they come across as being unnatural. I just found that the Thummim sounded better for more vocal prominent music, and also for genres like rock, EDM, electronic, and that's where they're happy. The Thummim has good vocals, and it has very good power and presence about them, and it makes the vocals lover excited and looking forward to the next song. But unfortunately, because I'm not just a vocal lover, I'm also a lover of classical and jazz music, it kind of was a disappointment at the same time, just because of the way that it portrayed the strings instruments. Treble is very clean, clear, it's powerful, extended, and very well detailed. The Thummim treble is well extended and is very, very good with air and detail. The Thummim is controlled in the treble. It never sounds harsh or sibilant. And Thummim treble is nicely detailed, very resolving. This is one of the smoothest but most airy and detailed trebles I've ever heard. Very well done, especially for electrostats. I find that they have very good control, and I love the treble on them. I just wish that the mids were playing along just as well. Soundstage. Soundstage is larger than the homunculus, and it's very massive. It's deep. It's layered. It has the widest soundstage I've ever heard on an IEM. I love the soundstage that the Thummim portrays. It sounds lifelike and very engaging. The only gripe that I have is that bass can be just a little bit more prominent than the rest of the mix, and sometimes can cause separation and isolation issues of bass instruments, and they just won't sound as clean in the soundstage. But other than that, this thing is insanity when it comes to the soundstage. I love it for movies, gaming, and just overall presentation of music is just glorious when it comes to the soundstage of the Thummim. In comparison, bringing back in the homunculus here, I mentioned about the Ray Penta. Now, the Ray Penta is good when compared to to the Thummim, but the Thummim is better in all ways when it comes to just tone and timbre. Other than the mids are better on the Ray Penta versus the Thummim, but presentation of the soundstage is way better. When you think of things that are more in price tag of the Thummim, the Empire Ears Wraith has more of a linear sound to it, and also it's going to be a little bit more neutral and natural sounding, but is more laid back than the Thummim. The Thummim has a bigger soundstage, but in my opinion, the Wraith does a better job of being more cohesive and balanced in the soundstage. The Visioneer's Elysium, compared to the Thummim, has a brighter signature and a smaller soundstage, but is better controlled because the bass doesn't rise up as it does with the Thummim. When comparing the homunculus to the Thummim, the homunculus is like the laid-back little brother, and the bass is not as impactful or detailed. The mids are slightly thinner and do suffer from a little bit of metallic timbre, and the treble is not as energetic as the Thummim. The soundstage of the homunculus is similar, just not as wide, and also not quite as good at resolving details, but it does do a better job of being more balanced because the bass isn't as prominent in the soundstage on the homunculus. So in conclusion, I find that the Homunculus is a very unique and different experience, and I have mixed reactions to it. I love so much about it. The control, the detailed bass, the smooth detailed treble, the expansive detailed soundstage, the incredible clean and clear resolution, and the detail retrieval. But there's too much to not like about the Homunculus, and that is that, you know, it's thin sounding, it's got metallic mids, it's got a boring treble, and the design is like a razor blade to my ears. And unfortunately, those flaws just say that the Homunculus aren't for me, but they may be for you. The Thummim, on the other hand, I really like the sound of it, but the comfort is a major flaw for me. I just can't wear the Thummim for more than 30 minutes before my ears start aching. And when I don't want to wear them after that, it becomes several days because they just hurt to put in my ears. And as much as I want to recommend them for the unboxing experience and the pleasant sound, the comfort just says no. And also the price says no. It's $4.5K, $4,500. And the comfort issue shouldn't be a problem at that price tag, and it is for me. The MMR Thummim is the worst best IEM I've ever heard. I want to thank Audiotiers and headfi.org and Metal Magic Research, MMR, for sending these over for review and for allowing me to take part in the review tour. I do greatly appreciate it. I've thoroughly enjoyed the time with them, but unfortunately, I just can't recommend either one of them just because there are just a few little teeny tiny flaws that just don't match up with me. Maybe your experience will be different, but $4,500 and $1,700, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say save yourself a few pennies and get a Ray Penta, or if you want to save even more, get yourself a Mass Drop Empire Ears Zeus. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen is a notification and subscription link. If you haven't already, please check those off. And then don't forget to check out the links down below for music that was used, gear that was used, and all kinds of other things. Also links to the written reviews. Thanks, and have yourself a great day.